Hi, and welcome to the TTRPG channel. Before we go around and do some intros, we're going to set the scene just ever so slightly as to christen the new campaign, if you will. 467,963. That's the number of heartbeats one would find up and down the streets of Miami. From the Jackson Memorial Hospital to the Freedom Tower, it's all the busy streets of the downtown area. However, if you count the number of feet, number of ears, or even the number of fangs and claws, behind the neon lights and underneath the skyline, there is another Miami, a darker, bloodier Miami. A Miami that runs on promises and the breaking of those promises. A Miami that's quite easy to be lost in. It's odd how comfortable people can become in the dark when they have no choice but to sit inside of it. But what happens when a blinding, twinkling light disrupts the peace and quiet of that darkness? Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone who finds themselves inside and out of the gender spectrum, my name is Dee, and welcome to the first episode of Lost in Miami. And with me, I have a wonderful cast of characters. As you can all see, they have dressed to the nines, and we are going to do some introductions around the table to meet all of these lovely people. For now, we're just going to introduce ourselves and our pronouns, and our characters will come just a little later. Let's start on my right with that would be Sawyer.
Hi, I'm Christina, and I use any pronouns.
Fantastic. And then we move down to the lovely Dawn.
Hi, my name's Christiana, and I use she, her pronouns.
And then we go across to Pearl.
Hi, my name's Amanda, and I use she, her pronouns.
And lastly, we move up to Maeve.
Hello, I am Nikki and I use she, her pronouns.
Wonderful. And I am Dee, and I use whatever pronouns make you feel warm and fuzzy or a tingle up your spine, whichever you prefer in the moment. So, as our camera first shifts and pushes down into the night sky and through the clouds, it comes to rest on Miami-Dade International Airport, where we see a very well put together looking woman with very short cut blonde hair that's styled into a small mohawk, dressed in a three-piece all black suit with black gloves on, holding a sign that says Juniper Lee on it. She sort of checks her watch. Well, they should be arriving fairly soon. I'm going to roll a d4 to see who arrives first. That's the best way to start things off. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Dawn. As you crest into the airport in the middle of the night, what is it that what do we see as you step into the airport?
Sure. You see a average height woman. She has Farrah Fawcett-esque hair. She wears elaborate makeup and silky clothes. She walks with an air of purpose and confidence. Like she doesn't mind being seen. She likes being seen. She wears very tall platform heels. So it makes you think, oh, okay, maybe she's not that tall, but she carries the height and the size, and she seems to gather the presence in the room and gathers the focus in the room, and it's centered on her whenever she walks. When she looks at people, they, depending on who they are, might either look away very quickly or they can't stop staring. And she chuckles each time someone has an immediate reaction to her.
Yes, and as you walk in and through where the line of security would be, there are many TSA agents who are sort of very, very nervously around you, just sort of doing their jobs, but many of them try not to maintain eye contact for too long, almost as if you'll blind them if they look at you for too long. But you catch the stolen glances and the moments and the whispers of, "Do you recognize her? Or is that someone we should know?" And you lavish in it as you normally do. And you see ahead of you the woman described before, holding the sign that says Juniper Lee. You would know this woman to be a young lady by the name of Janice. She is one of the right hands to the Prince of Miami and is the point of contact that will be helping you with your task that you and a few others have been prescribed. As you approach, she says, "Dawn, it's good to see you."
Isn't it?
I would say you're a little overdressed for the airport, but I get the sense there's not a step below this.
Maybe my ceremonial whites, but other than that, people expect a show, so that's what I give them.
Well, you definitely draw a crowd. And you see, even standing like down in arrivals at this point, there are some people who are fresh off of very long flights that are sort of like craning their necks around those huge neck pillows to like gaze at you as they walk by. And as that happens, Christina, what do we see when Sawyer walks into the airport?
It would be almost a similar scene. The heads turning towards Dawn might turn back and like have a hard time deciding where to look. But in a very different way. Sawyer looks like she walked off of the stage of a Fleetwood Mac concert from somebody who maybe just did a stage dive. Her hair is perfectly tousled, rings on every finger, lots of chains and crystals. And she has an air of somebody who knows where she's going, but also in a spiritual way. So she'll just kind of part the waters of the airport crowd and head straight for Dawn.
All right. You get through security easily enough. The airport is not completely deserted, but certainly less busy than it would be when the sun is out. And as you approach, you do see Dawn standing there next to Janice.
Dawn, Janice.
Hello, darling. How are you? It's been so long since we've had a little get together.
Too long, too long. How have you been?
Pretty good. Business is good. Family is good, she says with a little, twinkle in her eye. You only being what, 50 or less miles away? It's a shame you don't come visit more often.
You know, life keeps me here, but I will do my best to get the van out to you and make the trip.
And Janice sort of sees you arrive and say, well, it's good to see you as well, Sawyer. I'm glad that the prince was able to call you all in. This is quite important. I think we're only waiting for 2 more.
Yes, I think so. We're delighted to answer the call.
Well, in all honesty, um, I've met the target in question, and she can be a bit of a handful, but I think you'll like her, Dawn.
I love children. Is there anything else you can tell us about her?
Well, she is rambunctious, uh, certainly headstrong. I can understand why the prince has taken an interest in her, and it's a wonder that she hasn't broken the masquerade already. In all honesty, but I guess it's to be expected given her age.
Has she been embraced so young?
Yes, and that is certainly a point of contention. But
By whom?
uh, all that is not my business to share, unfortunately.
Certainly unusual.
To say the least. Definitely unusual. She checks the watch again, and it's around this time that Pearl enters the airport.
And you see someone who's a little bit on the stockier side, but appears taller thanks to the platform spiked boots that they are wearing. You see someone with a jet black pompadour and heavy, heavy, heavy drag makeup, glitter on the lids, blue eyebrows, just absolute, just gender fuck is the only way I could describe Pearl. They are wearing a tattered Hawaiian print shirt and otherwise look very, very, very sort of like almost like they slept in the gutter last night. Very like fabulous, but very like kind of like a raccoon in the trash.
Okay. When Pearl travels for their work, do they fly primarily?
They do.
Then as you approach, you see a this younger man that you know to be named Jonathan sort of lean over one of the ropes and pull it apart so you can go through the expedited security line and say, "You flying out already again, Pearl?"
You know it, baby.
Well, you got to work your magic in as many places as they'll let you, right?
And then I just kind of ta-ta.
Have a good one, Pearl. And he closes the ropes behind you, and you approach the triumvirate of people waiting in the arrivals. Pearl, I don't think we've had the pleasure yet. I'm Janice, right hand of the prince.
Mm. Pleasure, darling. Obviously, you know I'm Pearl. And who are these lovely little things over here?
Well, this is Dawn and this is Sawyer. They're both quite trusted in the Miami-Dade area, and the prince hand selected them for the job, same as he did with you. So I believe you'll all work together well.
And they're wearing sunglasses and they're just kind of looking.
Your energy is delightful.
I'm an experienced baby.
Wow. I don't think we've ever had the pleasure of crossing paths.
Then this should be a very, very, very interesting journey then.
That's the only reason I signed on to help.
Could always use a little more interest in our lives, I suppose.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to remark that we were waiting on our last person before we could push off.
Yes, Maeve has a tendency to arrive exactly when she intends to, so I'm sure she'll be joining us shortly. It looks like her plane has landed. They seem like they're deboarding now. So I should probably get closer. And you see she sort of separates from the pack and gets a little closer to the ropes with the sign in her hand. And that is when Maeve begins to enter the airport. How does Maeve arrive to the airport?
So she looks super pissy because she hasn't had anything to smoke in who knows how many hours. She fucking hates airports and spends a lot of time in them. So she's grumpy.
Fantastic. So as you enter, you see that Jonathan also knows you, but rather than explicitly extending the same courtesies he did with Pearl, he just like opens the rope, just kind of steps aside, sort of reading the mood without saying anything, and just letting you pass through to the quick lane of security.
So we're arriving in Miami, correct, right now?
Mm-mm.
Oh no, we're about to fly.
You were already in Miami. You're picking up your quarry.
That's what it was.
From arrivals.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, she's still not from here, so she still flew and is very grumpy.
And Maeve, you approach. You see Janice standing a little bit further forward. I don't believe Maeve knows any of the other three that are a part of Makeshift Coterie, unless I'm incorrect about that.
I don't think so.
Okay. Does Maeve wear heels?
Absolutely.
So as your heels are sort of like clacking on the linoleum as you approach, you see Janice sort of like flick her head back, and then like she's sort of like trying to split her attention between the arrival doors and you, Maeve, and turns and says, Maeve, it's good to see you. I'm Janice. I'm the right hand of the prince. Nice to make your acquaintance. This is Dawn, Sawyer, and Pearl. You can sort of like finish introductions. She should be coming up the airway right now, and you see Janice turns back to wait for the quarry.
I thought I was only babysitting one child.
Oh no, your R is interesting.
She just sniffs at you. She doesn't believe in all that hocus pocus.
Well,
Maybe you should read her card, Sawyer.
I think I should. Do you want to draw one?
I have nothing better to do.
Oh, you have your own? I literally was grabbing mine.
Nice.
Ooh, I've got them right here. Let's see. Just tell me when you're feeling ready to know.
Now.
Oh. The King of Swords. Feeling strong, Maeve? Knife edges cut both ways, you know.
She just like stares at you for a moment and then turns to look for the same direction Janice is looking.
Okay. And as you do see that this plane is beginning to deboard, and as such, there is a collection of people that are coming off of the plane. And you see that amongst them, there are a couple of You all sort of intrinsically hear and smell the heartbeats, the pulses, and the blood of the kine as they come off the plane. Some are tired. One or two smell like they probably did coke in the airplane bathroom. Others are lethargic. Some are coming down from an anxiety attack from what must have been a rough landing. And you notice three very obvious blank spots. And you look them up and down, and you see one of them is a red-headed woman, very long red hair that goes down to the nape of her back, dark skin, and these dark aviator sunglasses that she wears. She walks up wearing sort of this all-black Nike tracksuit. And next to her, there's this much taller, also a black man, completely shaven head, these very circle sort of horn-rimmed spectacles, wearing a full-on suit and tie and gloves, dressed very similar to Janice. And in between them, there is a... If these two are trying to be scrupulous or secretive, apparently the small person in between them did not get the memo. Dressed and gently gliding on these what look to be hand-painted Heelys that she's just sort of like leaned back and rolling on with this bright pink Teen Titans Go backpack on, and just sort of chewing on a Twizzler, looking down at her phone. Shorn hair on each side, and a pink, or excuse me, the undersides are cut, and they're sort of like oh god, hair is escaping me. Pink hair with shaved on the sides, but the top is left a mess. And you see very oddly piercing dark green eyes as she sort of like flicks her head up and goes, "Sup?"
Hello.
And you see that Janice sort of sets the placard down and says, "I'm going to go have a conversation with these two real quick. But Juniper Lee, this is the coterie that will be taking care of you for your visit to Miami. Hopefully your flight was good." And she says, my phone died, so it was kind of boring. I had to take his phone." And you see that the man with the glasses just sort of like shuffles a little uncomfortably. And rather than ducking under the ropes, which would probably be easier considering she's like 5 foot dead even, she just jumps over them and like strides to the middle of you four and goes, "More old people." And Janice just goes, "Right. I'll be right back. I need to talk to them." And the three adults of that group separate from you five, and you are left with the 12-year-old Juniper Lee.
I like your shoes.
Yeah, it's because they're cool. So, like, aren't you guys gonna like introduce yourselves, or?
Do you care?
I mean, I need to know what names I'm hollering if I get like kidnapped or something, I guess.
Are you expecting to be kidnapped?
I don't know. I apparently need a security detail, so something bad's got to be around the corner, right?
Apparently.
That's the spirit, kid.
Yeah.
My dear, we are the something bad around the corner.
Cool. Okay. I like her. I'm Juniper Lee. You can call me anything but Junie.
I'm
What about-
Sawyer.
Okay.
I'm Dawn. I was going to ask if you like Junebug.
I don't think anyone's ever called me that.
I really like that nickname. One of the kids back home, that's what she likes to be called to, and I always thought it was just so cute.
Cool. What about you with the cool hair? She sort of looks up at Pearl.
I take my shirt and I'm like, Candy Pearl extraordinaire, but you can call me Pearl.
Okay. And the mean lady?
Maeve Stapleton.
You hear Pearl kind of chuckle under their breath.
She's not mean, darling. She's just full of intellectual power at the moment.
She needs a cigarette.
Oh.
Those.
What kind of cigarettes do you smoke?
Oh shit, I need to look up a bougie brand of cigarettes. I haven't smoked in so long. Why, do you have some?
And she like edges towards you and looks back towards where those three are. It's like, I stole these off of the lady.
I do have my own, but we can keep these just in case.
I like this kid.
Of course you do. I'm cool.
So, do you know why you need a security detail? Why are you so important?
I don't know. After the stuff with my mom, I got taken to some weird basement looking place. The bed sucked. I don't know. My arms hurt for a little while. Eventually those two showed up and they told me that I'm a kindred, and they stress that we don't use the word vampire, and I don't know why, because it's cooler than kindred, but okay. I fed off a couple of blood bags, and they put me on a plane to come see you all, I guess. I'm assuming they knew my mom and my dad because they got a bunch of stuff from my house, but...
Who are your parents?
I mean, one of my mom's a teacher. My other mom's a garbage lady.
They're not kindred, obviously.
I didn't think so. They're kind of bad at lying, so I think if they were, I would have probably known.
Do you know who made you this way?
As you say that, like some of like the puffed out chest bravado sort of like deflates. And she says, yeah.
Oh, darling, I'm so sorry. Was it terrible?
Yeah.
I'll just come down on her level, puff the skirts out, and just give her a hug.
Okay. Sawyer, do you keep a wallet?
Yes. Yes, I'm sure I do.
Go ahead and make me a wits plus awareness roll.
That child.
So for those of us who are new to Vampire the Masquerade that may or may not be watching, when I ask to make a roll, I take two different stats, put them together. So wits plus awareness. And for every dot that Sawyer has in both of those, they get 1d10 that they're going to roll. And everything that is a 6 or higher is a success. And a 10 is 2 successes. Or excuse me, 4 or higher. I'm so sorry, not 6.
I have 5 successes.
Okay. So with 5 successes, you hug this child and you feel her like actually need. You're very, very good at reading people. And you can tell that she does genuinely need this hug. And then after like a second and a half of it, she just goes straight for one of your pockets.
I will grab her arm and kind of twirl her in a little dance move. I'd say, sweetie, if you need something, all you have to do is ask. You don't need to steal from us.
And with that, she sort of like looks you four over again, goes, okay. And then she pulls out her phone, goes and sits on a chair, and just like, does that thing that kids do where they just bring their feet up to their chest and lean back in a chair, just typing away.
Just get such a melancholy off of her aura. It's so sad.
Really sucks. I mean, to be embraced so young, I don't think I've ever seen that before. And does that mean she'll stay this way forever? She'll never get to experience certain things because everyone's going to think that she's a child, even though she might be like 200 years old. That's insane. She should come stay with me. We'll take good care of her. She kind of like disappears off into her own thought stream for a couple of minutes.
Okay. Everybody can make me an intelligence plus occult roll.
Can you remind me what dice I'm rolling? Oh, I'm muted.
Maeve, you're muted.
Can you remind me what dice I'm rolling?
Yeah, so you're going to be rolling some d10s, and you're going to be rolling a number equal to the number of dots you have intelligence and occult.
Okay. Intelligence and occult.
Now, when we tell you our roll results, do we just list the successes or do we say successes and failures?
So unless you have a bestial failure, which is a 1 on your blood dice, which is something that I told the players but not the stream, everyone has a designated specific D10 that is their blood die. Unless you get a 1 on your blood die, you don't need to tell me about failures. Just how many successes you got. Even if you roll 10s, you don't need to tell me. I guess if you roll a 1 or a 10 on your blood die, let me know. But outside of that, I just need to know the number of successes.
And what's the success? What's a success?
A success is a 4 or higher.
Got it. I have 3 successes.
I also have 3 successes.
For me as well.
Just
Okay.
one,
Wait.
but I only had 1 dice to roll.
Do we count
Fantastic.
the blood die as a success or no?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yep.
then in that case, I have 4 successes.
Me as well.
Yeah. The blood die is just a
Oh.
normal die in the pool, unless it's a 1 or a...
Oh, okay. That's 2 successes, actually.
Fantastic. And then remember that a 10 counts as 2 successes regardless of what die it is on. All right. So you all know as Dawn sort of is just stream of consciousness, just kind of thinking out loud. She mentioned something that you all does ring weird in all of your heads. At this age, she shouldn't have even survived being embraced. Like, not only is it not common culture to embrace children, but most of them don't even survive the process. But as you all smell and sense and watch the way that she moves, she is certainly kindred. It's around this time. Yeah, go ahead.
I just had a question. With the merit of Bloodhound, when you can know the resonance, I think, does that work on other kindred as well?
Yeah,
or is that just
absolutely.
mortals? Okay.
Absolutely does. Her resonance. So the smell that you get from her is that her resonance, her blood. You essentially, so the way resonance works with kine is it's sort of like smelling the different types of food and the quality that it's made out of. It's basically like if you could smell ground hamburger and be like, this is like very high quality ground hamburger. But with kindred, it's a little bit different. You can smell the almost the potency of their blood in a way. And her blood is very potent. It is the most potent of anyone of the undead that are currently in this airport.
Interesting.
She was sired by a very powerful kindred.
I'll share that information with Sawyer.
Where did she come from? Do we know anyone in that area who would fit the bill?
I keep my circle pretty small. I don't think so. Not me.
I haven't been out that way in ages. It's a very strange thing. Why would somebody do this?
It seems cruel, but I don't know. Maybe she was going to die. Maybe she's very important to someone, and it was the only way to save her in some way.
Well, she's important to us now. That's what matters.
And it's around this time that Janice approaches, and you see that the other two actually just sort of walk past you all, but they don't turn out of the airport. They just walk to another gate. And Janice returns and says, all right, well, I will bring the limo around and we will get you all to the safe house. And if there's anything you need that isn't there, I'll be sure to leave my number and you can contact me for anything. Also, and you see she pulls out a wallet that flips open and it's got 3 black cards with various names on it and says, none of them have any limit, so just if you need backups for anything.
Well, okay.
All right, I will go get the car. And you see that Juniper has made a point of like trying to look sort of like disinterested teen. But when she mentions a limo, you see the eyes kind of like flick up for a second. And then she goes back to looking at her phone. And Juniper sort of gets up and says, guess you're going to ride in a limo. I hope it's a stretch one. Those are the best kind.
Is this your first limo ride?
No, I get in limos all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And as you all, as a group, leave and exit the airport, you climb into the very nice limo that the prince has provided. And Janice rolls up the courtesy glass, and the 5 of you are left in the limo to your own devices as you begin to head your way toward wherever this safe house is.
The moment they step outside, Maeve gets into her bag and pulls out a cigarette and just starts smoking.
Fantastic.
Do any of you mind if I smoke in the car?
I'm totally okay with it. Do whatever you feel like. And as I just kind of scoot closer to kind of get some of that secondhand.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like it's going to kill us.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly adds to the ambiance.
Mm-hmm.
And you see that following in footsteps, Juniper goes, yeah, it's totally cool. Do whatever you want.
Like within moments, you watch as the like exterior that was very like buttoned up and rigid, she takes a couple of puffs and then kind of like relaxes into her chair, and then she's like pinching the top of her nose. Ugh, flying gives me such a headache.
Well, the old guy said that if you chew gum during the takeoff, then it helps with the pressure in your ears. Sorry, I thought.
That's very helpful.
And
I
you
can't
see
help.
Go ahead. No,
I
go
was saying, Pearl looks at Juniper and can't help but think that like she reminds them of like a lot when they were a kid, and so they have like the culture that Pearl's comes from. It's not very kid friendly, but they are starting to really warm up to Juniper. So Pearl leans over and it's just like, so what are some of your favorite things to do?
I like painting. I rollerblade. Um, I don't know. I play video games mostly.
You're going to have to show me one of these video games.
Okay. Have you played a video game before?
Yeah, Pac-Man, Dig Dug, Galaga, all of those.
Those games are so okay. All right, I'll start. I'm gonna have to get a whole program together. Okay. And you see that she sort of like starts scrolling through her phone and looking up emulators and stuff to download as apps on her phone. And you hear the privacy glass slide down a crack and say, Janice says, the prince is calling on the phone. I'm going to project it to the back for you all.
Okay.
And there is a moment where there's a dial tone and a click, and you all hear, well, good evening, all of you wonderful people. I'm glad you all made it safely. Welcome to Miami. I appreciate the cashing in of the favors, especially you, little Junie. It's good to have you here. Now, when you get to this safe house, there's going to be anything that you all could need. Obviously, our young guest here isn't exactly used to feeding like the adults do. But, don't feel like you're not allowed to teach the kid anything. She's got to learn at some point. Being a kid won't be an excuse forever. Janice tells me she's already delineated most of the supplies, but if you need anything, know that your line to her can be a direct line to me. Any questions at all? And you all know that this is the voice of Prince Lyman Baxter, who is the essentially the head of the Camarilla operations in Florida at large, and he is based in Miami-Dade County.
I don't have any questions. Seems pretty straightforward.
And Sawyer?
Is there anything special we need to consider?
Well, I suppose you'll want to keep her entertained, so I've pulled a couple of different excursions. There's a whole itinerary waiting for you at the safe house, but most things that aren't open in the mornings, I've made sure open a little later to accommodate. Enjoy. Welcome to the splendor that is Miami, little Junie. I'll talk to you all soon. And the line disconnects.
When he calls her Junie, Maeve makes a disgusted face.
You see that that disgust is shared by Juniper. She's like, oh. Does
Have
that
you
mean
met-
that like are there gonna be like empty amusement parks?
That's how it appears.
Cool. Cool. Whatever.
That's pretty creepy. Are you into that kind of stuff?
I mean, if there's no line for any of the rides, I mean, I guess we can, I wouldn't want to be rude and like not, go.
It's okay to enjoy things.
Yeah, I know. I enjoy things all the time.
Have you met the prince before?
No, but I've talked to him before. He's kind of skeevy.
When have you talked to him before?
When I was in the weird like basement place, those two people, they had me talk to him. He wanted me to agree to come to Miami before he just put me on a plane, I guess. Not like I had a choice either way.
Has anyone explained why you had to come to Miami?
No.
He has plans for you, I think. And Sawyer's in the has her cards spread out and has 3 placed up, and she'll push the Ace of Swords in reverse towards Juniper. See this here? This is a brand new idea, but there's something below the surface. She'll push the High Priestess card. Something we don't know yet, but that's okay. It will come to us in fire. And she'll push forward the King of Wands.
I thought fire wasn't good for Kindred.
Oh, not like actual fire, my dear.
Okay.
Like a spiritual fire, some sort of vision.
Like passion.
Something. Yes, like passion. Excellent.
Okay. That's cool. I don't think I've ever actually seen a tarot deck.
Oh, would you like to look at the cards?
And she puts her phone in her pocket and goes, yeah.
And I'll hand
scoots around so that she's sitting next to you.
I'll kind of hand her the deck. Here you go. Lots of truths in here.
Is just completely lost in these cards at this point. Is there anything else in particular that you all discuss on your way to the safe house?
I would like to ask, to no one in particular, do we know who owns the safe house?
Do I know who owns the safe house? I feel like that's something Maeve would know.
As a Ventru, you've got your finger on most of the pulse. Even if he doesn't even if his name isn't on the deed, it's almost certainly Prince Baxter's safe house.
Okay.
So when he called us, that was basically an invitation inside.
An invitation inside the house. Oh, yes.
Okay.
I look around the limo and I'm just like, I like the vibe of everyone here, but I can't help but wonder why us.
I'm assuming skills. Like she's sized everybody up and has figured that everyone has a different set of skills. When you're compiling a team, you want your team to have distinct differences, specifically in their set of skills, and in this case, personality.
So what's your skill set?
Well, and you see she kind of, like, this whole, like, rough, rigid exterior kind of melts away, and she kind of turns like a little coy and smiles and looks up at you through her eyelashes and says, I'm good at talking to people. I know it doesn't seem that way, but I am.
Oh, I can see it.
Anyway, so that's why I'm here, I'm assuming. That and, my clan is known for business, and I have business in Miami. Unfortunately.
Interesting. How did you die?
Who what?
How did you die?
Oh, I was at a party. So I had a bit too much fun in the late 20s. As women, quite the reputation. And ran into some very interesting people, who thought that I had a specific, what would Sawyer call it, an aura about me. I was very popular, and they thought that I would make a very good asset. I spent the 30s hunting Nazis. It's not a big deal.
You used to punch Nazis?
I still do, darling, if I get the chance.
Ah, okay. I've decided I like you.
Maeve, I think we are going to get along pretty well.
I'm truly not mean, just very tired.
I'm kind of tired too. Here are your cards back.
Oh no, darling, they're yours now.
Oh, okay. You see she reaches in her bag, and her bag has a lot of interesting things in it. You can't see exactly into it because she is sort of in front of it, but you see what looks like surgical gloves, the silver of something. You definitely spot at least 3 syringes, and you see that she takes out like a plastic little sandwich baggie and puts the tarot cards in them, including whatever case you carried them in, and puts it back into her bag, zips closed. And she goes, how much longer until we get there? And Janice sort of peeks in and says, it'll be about another hour or so. And you see Juniper just sort of like puts her bag behind her and curls up on it and goes, I'm gonna sleep. And she closes her eyes and just sort of like curls up on top of the bag.
Poor thing.
Pearl, Don, and I were talking before. Have you ever known someone so young to be embraced?
No, and I come from a scene where a lot of us were young when we first met our potential sires, but none of us were ever that young. We were doing some pretty dangerous things back in those days, but nothing like that. That was never a line that was ever crossed.
Maeve?
I've seen it once. It didn't end well.
Do we know how old Juniper is?
12.
When she turned 12.
And how long ago was it that she was turned? We don't know.
Days?
We don't know.
Maybe, I
Yes.
don't know.
You could ask the prince, or Janice might know, but you weren't told.
The kid doesn't know.
You could ask her.
She didn't seem like she wanted to talk about it. It seemed like it hurt her very deeply.
I imagine being separated from her mothers also didn't help.
I am interested to know, and I did tell Sawyer this. I could smell it on her blood, stronger than any of ours. She must have been turned purposefully by someone very powerful. Very.
But why were they impatient? Why turn a child?
So unusual, too. Usually the younger of our kindred are much weaker to be stronger.
It's very suspicious. For sure.
Sawyer, can you make me an insight plus let's say wits?
Okay.
Dawn, you can also make this roll.
Four successes.
Okay.
Three successes and one failure. It's a one. Is that a bestial failure?
Is it on your blood die?
Oh, no.
Okay. Then the one you only got to tell me about a 1 and a 10 if it's on your blood die specifically.
Okay.
So both of you take a second as Dawn mentions the blood and the resonance of this little girl. As you like look at her, you both think for a second. She shouldn't be tired. The moon's out. In fact, most kindred struggle with sleeping when the moon is out. And as you sort of take an extra second of looking at her, you see just for a second the eyes sort of open and then close again.
Would this have wouldn't Maeve have noticed this? Like,
I would say you notice Dawn and Sawyer noticing it.
okay.
And given enough time looking at her, she's clever, more clever than she seems, but she is still a child. If you look at her for long enough after that, you do notice that she's not actually sleeping.
Maeve leans forward and goes, "Very good spy move. Were you waiting to see what we said about you?"
There's no response. She's laying remarkably still.
I say we just drain her now and be over with it.
Okay, I'm awake. I'm used to pretending to be asleep to see what adults have to say. And she just like sort of like stretches out in the limo seats.
A natural born performer. Delightful.
Children are so inconspicuous, except for at night. Never mind.
It reminds me so much of me at that age.
And it's around. Oh, hold on. Let me see. Let me just double check something. Yeah, it's around this time as you all are sort of sitting here. As she sort of like sits up and like pulls her phone back out and starts going through it again. You all hear very loudly as three very loud pops sound, and the entire limo swerves and begins to spin out on the empty road. And you eventually it skirts to a stop without tipping ass over tea kettle, and you hear the front door immediately open, and Janice steps out. What do you all do?
Maeve is in a protective crouch over Juniper.
Okay. And the rest of you?
Can I use my aspects, like heightened senses, to see if I can sense, like, not where it came from, but who and in what direction?
Sure. What sense would you like to use to do this? So you go to rouse the blood and heighten your senses. What are you trying to smell the direction that a person may be? Are you trying to make them out in the darkness?
I wrote it down. I have something because I put 2 points into it. So I have sense the unseen, but I'm not sure what the context is in that.
So sense the unseen is a way to try and see any supernatural beings that may otherwise be invisible. Like if a kindred makes themselves invisible, or if a guru uses its natural ability to blend into the shadows, that kind of thing. Just heightening your senses would be enough to get you at least like a check. I was just curious on, are you trying to like smell, see? Are you trying to listen for where the gunshots came from? What sense are you?
Yeah, I think I would like to heighten my sense of smell just to see if I can figure out how many people and in what direction they are.
Okay. So go ahead and make me a perception plus auspex. So you're going to roll however many dots you have in perception and however many dots you have in auspex.
Okay. That is 4 successes.
Okay. So as you sort of like crack the window of the limousine a little bit, you take a deep inhale. You said smell, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you take a deep inhale and almost like with your eyes closed, you can almost see the imagery, the long trails of gun smoke that are sort of leading backwards from where they were shot from. These bullets were shot from very, very far away, probably like 4 or 5 streets to the south. There are 3 sniper rounds that are sort of in the door of the limousine.
Okay.
Pearl, Sawyer, what are y'all up to?
I think I'd be helping Maeve with Juniper.
Okay.
I believe I'm with Dawn, trying to sort of heighten my senses, but I'm also getting ready. I'm just like already like on my feet, ready to fight.
For sure. So you can go ahead and also make me a perception plus auspex roll.
What is auspex?
So auspex is the that is the discipline power that Dawn is using to heighten her senses.
Okay. I don't have that. I do have toughness.
Okay. Instead, go ahead and roll me perception plus wits.
Plus wits. Okay. What's the active? I'm trying to find my perception. Okay. Those are, I have 3 successes and 1 failure. 1 failure is not the blood dice.
Okay. So with those 3 successes, you are not using your blood powers to heighten your senses, but you're very just aware of with your normal senses, and you hear a car beginning to approach. That sounds like it's driving pretty quickly. And Janice sort of flings the door open and says, "Out now, stay down, keep her under one of you." And she's got what looks like this large rifle sort of held in one hand, watching the car approach. And as the car go ahead, Maeve.
Oh, you're fine. I was gonna. I'll ask after you finish.
And as the car approaches, it sort of skids to a stop, and out pops the 2 people that Juniper flew in with. And as they approach the limousine, they very quickly they leave the keys in there. One of them, the woman, takes the rifle from Janice's hands, and she starts moving. And they speak to each other Is there anyone here that would speak Zosha? It's an African language. Okay. You don't understand what they say to each other, but the two sort of brandish weapons. The man goes to the back and pops a trunk and pulls out this very large sniper rifle. And Janice looks to the rest of you and says, all right, get to the rest of the safe house. One of you needs to drive. These are the directions. And she puts them into Maeve's hands and says, just keep driving, get in, flip the shutters. The passcodes are on the back of the directions.
What's the stats for driving?
So driving, it depends on how you're driving. If you would like to try and just muscle a car through and just bash other cars out of the way, that would likely be a strength plus drive check. If you're trying to weave in and out of traffic, that could be a dexterity plus drive check. That it is all up to how you are trying to justify it.
I think
hell, if you want to, you could even say I'm going to lean out the window and yell and lay on the horn and make it manipulation plus drive to try and convince people to get the hell out of your way.
I was going to go with wits because I feel like if Maeve is the one driving, it's going to be based on her experience with driving in large cities and also with getaway driving, which she has probably done before.
Okie doke. So you hop behind the wheel. Who is keeping Juniper with them?
I'll keep Juniper. I'll keep Juniper.
So Juniper's right next to Sawyer.
Do any of you have weapons experience or training?
I have
with my fists.
Yeah, I was about to say these babies right here.
All right.
I played softball. I played softball before I got pulled out of school.
I have a little ivory dagger, but it's more for show than anything else.
And Janice sort of there's a bit of a huff, and she pulls a pistol off her hip, puts it in Dawn's hands, and says, "Point it at them, pull the trigger," and just gives you the barest of bare rundowns on how to fire this pistol that she's just handed you.
Maeve reaches up under her skirt and pulls another gun out of her holster and hands it to Pearl.
Dawn just starts laughing, and it's kind of creepy.
Fantastic. And with that, y'all pile into the car, and you do hear a couple more shots ring out. And this car, to be specific, is a black, almost looks like government issue SUV, just total blackout windows, complete black paint job. The headlights were off when they approached. And Maeve, you take off. Go ahead and make me that wits plus drive check.
All right. Oops, I need to add one more. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 successes.
All right. With 4 successes, you take off, and you know more than well enough how to double check that no one is tailing you. There are a couple of times where you read the directions and then think about where you're headed and type it in the GPS and reroute yourself manually a couple of times to make sure that no one is tailing you, and you are fairly positive that no one is. As you pull up and approach a fairly nice looking house. I'm trying to think of what I guess I'm speeding a bit past that. Is there any conversation that happens in the SUV as y'all are driving away?
I'm just yelling profanities out the window.
Gotcha.
Can I try to have a vision?
Sure.
Using vision.
Oh, you absolutely can, you lovely thing, you. So go ahead and roll your blood die for me and tell me what you get. Chat, this is called a rouse check. Your power is going to activate whether or not you succeed on this check. But if you fail the check, you will get hungrier in addition to the power succeeding.
Okay. I rolled a 2.
Okay. So you add another point of hunger to your character sheet.
Okay.
And so with this premonition, what are you focusing on? What are you trying to get a premonition of? Since you are trying to go ahead.
Yeah. I would like to be able to see the clearest path with the least danger, or at least to get away from anyone who might be tailing us.
Okay. So as you sort of sit back, and what does Dawn look like when she begins to have vision?
She is now sitting. She was sitting in the back seat. She's now crisscross applesauce, and she's got one hand out the window, and she's trying to connect with the air, connect with the sounds and the smells that she feels all around her. So she's sort of like, it kind of looks as if she's jamming to a song that you can't hear.
Okay.
And she's muttering under her breath.
Okay. And as you do this, the car is stopped. The street lights are blurred. What song is playing?
Hooked on a Feeling.
Okay. As the song begins to trill and play, you begin to sort of just dance back down the street. And you get a vision of no one following you along the road. But back toward where the previous car was, you see Janice holding the snout and face of this very large werewolf that stands at about 8.5 foot tall, with claws that are dug into one side of Janice, and she's just like blade in hand, ready to stab. The other two escorts are dead, and you also see that there is a bullet that's just hanging, frozen in time, probably about 4 or 5 feet from the pair of them.
When she comes out of it, she's not going to say anything.
Before you come out of it, you see a man that you recognize, because you've had visions before, and for some reason, he's always somewhere in them. It's this sort of very gaunt-looking man. Can't really discern a race. He always seems shrouded in like shadow, with this large leather duster that's sort of black leather and mottled, and what I think Dawn would describe as a cowboy hat, all completely black with these dimly glowing blue eyes. He just sort of waves, and you are sucked back into your body proper in the car.
Welcome back, Sunrise.
I hope I never have to see one of those again.
That's fair. Are you all right?
I am. I don't have any emotional connection to those people, but little Junebug, I don't know. Seems like she's losing things left and right. Just losing and losing and losing.
Speaking of which, we're nearly there. I think it's best that one of us jumps out and gets the garage or the door open so that we can get the child inside safely. Would hate to get stuck at the door, if you know what I'm saying.
I've got a gun. I'll do it.
I was about to say I have skills that can lend to this. And I'm already like halfway out the window.
You do it.
Yeah.
All right. You approach this building. It kind of looks like, the mansion from Fresh Prince. Kind of looks like that. Like it kind of looks like the bank's home. And as you approach the driveway, you do have the passcode on the back. Sorry. Please. Aha, I fixed it. And as you approach, you do see the passcode on the back is 5683 for the pin of the garage door. And as you type it in, Pearl, make me a resolve check.
Resolve. Ooh. So that's 3 successes, and I got a 2 on my blood dice.
Okay. So there's this feeling as you type in 568, and as your finger hovers over the button, maybe it's just static cling, maybe you're just on edge, but you feel eyes on you right before you press the last button. You turn, and there's nothing there, and the feeling fades, but it was weird.
Let's see. I'm trying to remember what Eyes of the Beast does.
Let's see. Oh God, there's so many things. Eyes of the Beast allows you to you ignore any sight penalties imposed by darkness, even if it is supernatural.
I'm going.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was going to say I'm going to activate my Eyes of the Beast.
Okay. And what color sort of clouds over Pearl's eyes?
Like a toxic neon yellow.
All right. And you look around and everything is clear as day to you. There's no shadows that you can't see through. There's nothing around. No one close enough to be watching you.
I turn around. I basically I kind of have the gun in one hand and my sight activated, and I go ahead and press 3.
All right. And as you press it, it beeps green for a second, and the garage door begins to roll upward. And I would assume you all drive in.
Yep.
And as you do, you all clamber into the house, entering the pin again to close the shutters and all of that sensational nonsense. Juniper is immediately enamored with just the vastness of this very nice, very well put together manor that appears to have primarily like a blue and gray color scheme. That's most of the color palette in here. Very ritzy, very expensive looking. The refrigerator is stocked with blood bags that have various resonances attached to them, though also bagged blood is never as resonant as blood straight from the source, but there are various types of blood. And as you all are settling in to the safe house, there is a knock at the door. And that's where we're going to take our first break for the evening. Isn't that just grand? Everybody get up, stretch, hydrate, get some snacks, and we will return with the second half of episode 1 of Lost in Miami after a quick little break. See you soon. Oh, hi. We're still doing this, surprisingly enough. We didn't get canceled on the break, thank God. So, last we left off, the coterie had just piled into a house and flipped on these security measures. And after about 20 to 25 more minutes pass, there is a knock at the door. Juniper jumps up and says, I'll get it.
No.
No.
You absolutely will not.
Okay. And she sits back down.
I suppose I can get it.
Okay. You go over to the door. Do you open it, peek through the peephole?
She's gonna look through the peephole.
You see Janice is standing there, sort of bleeding from the left arm.
Is there any way to do some kind of check to see, to make sure it's really her?
Sure, you can roll me an, let's call it insight plus wits roll.
Okay. Ooh, okay. One, two, three. That's 3 successes.
Okay. With 3 successes, she seems greatly the same as to when you met her in the airport. Her injuries line up with what Dawn, or I guess Dawn didn't mention her vision. You haven't known her for that long. It looks like the same person. There doesn't seem to be anyone behind her. She's looking around behind her and just waiting. She only knocked the one time and still has not knocked again.
I'm going to go ahead and open the door for her to get in.
And she just walk in. She looks fairly calm. And says, "Are the accommodations to your liking?"
Quite.
Good. She grabs a towel and just takes off her suit jacket and sort of sits at the table and starts to suture away at the wound.
What happened?
Where did you put the bodies?
A guru attacked shortly after the shots were fired. I've sent the cleanup crew to clean up all 3 of the bodies. I'm sure they'll be gone before any of the kind notice anything.
Horrible.
Happens.
These particular ones, had you seen them before?
No, I hadn't seen that guru before, but I'm more concerned about sniper rounds because I should be dead. But whoever shot at the car then shot at the guru. So
Interesting. And the 2 from the escort.
Dead.
Why would they have do you have any idea of their motives?
The guru?
The escort.
The escort is on the prince's detail, Maeve. They were following us in case something like this happened.
Gotcha. I was under the impression that they were part of the issue. I am understanding now.
Yes, there were other shadow hands that were meant to be following.
Did you notice anything strange on the way in?
On the way in, not particularly.
I mean, after everything.
Not particularly. Did you notice something strange on the way in?
I did feel like something was watching me, but I couldn't see anything.
That will happen occasionally. Um, Phyllis, and you all see this blue light begin to digitize in the middle of the kitchen. And she clasps her hands together and says, yes, Miss Janice. You can introduce yourself to the coterie here. And she turns and says, well, of course. My name is Phyllis. I am the artificial intelligence system that inhabits the smart house. Thank you all for joining me. I appreciate the company. And you see that Juniper sort of like looks at you, Dawn, and goes, sci-fi shit?
Sci-fi shit.
Juniper
Yes.
is, or excuse me, Phyllis is let's call her a bleeding edge piece of technology. She's sort of a last line of defense for the safe house, as well as being essentially a live-in maid. If you need anything, that is.
So,
Phyllis, are you connected to the beyond?
Phyllis looks at you and says, I'm not sure I follow.
Oh, that's fine, I suppose. Never mind.
Of course. If there's anything that you all need, please let me know. Otherwise, I will begin cleaning off the car in the garage. Thank you. And she disappears.
it is a little disappointing that she can't see into the beyond.
That would be so interesting. We could just spend the whole time here gazing and seeing things.
I'm afraid what you might see would stop your non-beating heart again.
Does anyone remember that one Midnight movie where the evil house has an AI and it turns on everyone, or is that just me?
I don't think I watched those kinds of movies.
Oh, shame.
What happened?
Everyone died in weird, mysterious circumstances, except for like this one chick who was like a teenager or something. I don't know. Like it was like 40 years ago. I don't remember.
Not to break up Mystery Science Theater, but she extends this sort of pamphlet that's on the table and says, this is the itinerary. Try and stick to it. Don't let her talk you out of any of the things. They all are necessary for separate reasons.
Are you going to share those several reasons with us?
Not unless Lyman tells me to.
The prince still wants us to go through with all of this, even though there was an attempt just on the way here, 5 minutes after his phone call.
I've been told to keep to the schedule.
All right.
If you'd like to question him about it, you have a line to his number.
Oh, that's not necessary.
Right. Well, I'm going to get back to my job. If you need anything, you have the number. Janice makes her way to the door, and unless anyone has any other questions for her, she leaves.
Feel better.
What's a guru?
Do you want me to tell her, or do one of you want to explain?
I feel like you probably have some good stories or explanations, so. You can tell it.
Well, I'm afraid that I might traumatize the child.
Pull a card, my dear. And you have a question.
Oh, okay. Let me see. Oh, I got the death card. Is that bad?
It's, you know, there's no bad card in that deck. It is an omen, and a strong one too. It can mean anything. New beginnings, a new life, maybe.
A new on life.
Okay. I'm gonna go to. Does it matter what room is mine?
Yeah, we need to look at them and make sure they're safe. And then I'm not sure we should be leaving you alone.
Does that mean someone's gonna come to the bathroom with me?
No.
No, nothing weird like that.
I mean, in a way,
Well-
Phyllis will be there.
True.
Okay, fine.
I would like to sweep the perimeter.
Okay. So as you go through, you do see that there are 8 total bedrooms in the homestead, but there are some that are marked with the first initial of all of you individually. And in the interior of each of these bedrooms that are marked with the corresponding initial, you find any and all of the types of things that would bring great comfort to your characters. Maeve, for example, there's an entire carton of the cigarettes that you smoke in the drawers of your room. Things like that all across your room. And there is a room designated for Juniper that looks different. Rather than being against one of the walls, the bed is in the center of the room. There are no windows in the room. And hers is the only door that has a pass key.
Well, they certainly wanted to keep you safe.
Yeah, or locked away.
Not quite Rapunzel, as you see, we've been given an itinerary in which to entertain you.
I guess. And you see she just kind of like takes her bag and puts it in the room, sits on the bed, just kind of sits there for a second.
My dear, do you need help unpacking?
No. And she grabs her bag and like pulls it closer to her. Um yeah, I can do it.
All right.
So is someone gonna just sit in here with me or outside the door or what?
I can stay.
Perhaps we should go over our itinerary.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Flipping through the itinerary, it says that you are to take her to the first one is the Miami Design District. And you were supposed to ask for Miss Alizé, the curator of the exhibits. You were also supposed to take her to the Marlins Park, the baseball stadium. Let's There is also the Freedom Tower at Miami-Dade College. They would like you to take her to Little Haiti and ask for Miss Sharon. And lastly, but not leastly, you're also supposed to take her to Wynwood Walls, which is another art museum.
Why would they want a child to go to multiple art museums?
You learn so much by looking at the art. There's stories in it, Maeve, stories from long ago and what's to come.
He said entertain her. Does she seem like the kind of kid who's going to find that entertaining?
I don't know. I mean, she played softball and we're going to go to the stadium. So there's definitely a theme there.
Juniper, do you want to go look at art?
I mean, I like painting, but I was just gonna go stare at a couple. I can do that on my phone.
Can I look at where these items are on a map?
Sure. You do know that all of these particular points of interest, like most places in Miami, are they're all kindred controlled. And you would assume that there are contacts at each of these places, but they don't seem to be plotted out in any particular order or arrangement.
It feels rather suspicious, but I suppose we don't have a choice other than to follow the itinerary. So, we shall do it. I suppose we should also be on guard the whole time.
You're so distrusting, Maeve. What happened to you in all that time that you were kicking Nazis' ass? Did you
I'm
get
still
betrayed?
kicking their asses. That's the problem.
I do love a good punching a Nazi.
When you've seen the underbelly of society as much as I have, you tend to not trust people or kindred or Guru or anybody.
But people can be so easily manipulated. You can make them do whatever you want.
Another reason not to trust them.
I guess that's true.
Well, I'm going to put on more sensible shoes. I will be back.
Are all of our rooms basically the same?
Outside of what is inside of them, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Phyllis materializes in the hallway and says, the car has finished being clean. Are there any particular tasks you would like me to carry out, or shall I simply go to surveillance mode?
What are your thoughts on the afterlife, Phyllis?
I am not programmed with thoughts on the afterlife.
Oh,
Earl is fighting very hard not to say something extremely juvenile.
so
They might
Can
say
you-
it anyway.
can you see past this house?
Only for 100 yards in any direction.
Okay. So you would be able to let us know if anything or anyone was coming close to it, right?
That is, in fact, my primary function.
Oh, perfect. Okay,
Is there-
great.
Is there a way we can keep in contact with you while we are not in the house? Telepathy, perhaps?
I fail to understand why you would need to keep in contact with me outside of the house.
Well, if somebody was here, we don't want to come home to a surprise, now do we, Phyllis?
That makes sense. Well, if you connect your any of your cellular devices to a charging port anywhere in the house, I will be sure to connect your phone numbers to my main line and I can send out a text message if such a thing were to occur.
So not telepathy.
Technology.
All right.
And she turns and says, Young Miss Lee, is there anything that I could get you? And she goes, is there like a PlayStation 5 here? She goes, Of course. And you see this wall, just sort of like this wall in Juniper's room open, and this large TV and entertainment system come out with all of the new consoles and what looks like a small keyboard and set of controllers. She goes, That's cool. That was cool. I like Phyllis. I officially like Phyllis. She goes and grabs a controller and looks at Pearl and goes, We might want to like start you on like a GameCube or something.
What did you have in mind?
Phyllis, do you have Super Smash Brothers Brawl? And Phyllis says, all of the consoles have been modified by Prince Baxter to connect to the internet, and you have access to the catalog of every game that has been released for those consoles. I love it here. I've changed my mind entirely. And she sits down and begins to cycle through games and just look at what's available.
I used to know a Smash Brothers back in the day, but I have a feeling this isn't what that is.
Did it have Link?
What's a Link?
Oh boy. We got a lot of stuff to get through, Pearl.
I see the television and like a really like thin looking elf, and I'm like, is that Twink? Is that what the Link is?
Twink?
Oh,
no,
honey.
his name's Link.
Oh, honey.
Maeve enters the room wearing like some slim legging style pants and a long sleeve turtleneck, all black, with some very fancy black boots, leather boots that are zipped up to her knees. And when she hears the word Twink, she says, Pearl, she's 12.
Oh, right, my mistake.
Give her a couple years and then you can explain all of your slang.
Right. I don't know. And I lean over to me and was like, I don't really know like what to do about children. See, where like Bowery Lane in New York wasn't the most child friendly place, if you know what I mean.
I didn't really spend a lot of time in child friendly places either. I kind of made it a point not to.
Exactly.
Dawn, you know children?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would ask Dawn. I would ask Dawn for baseline information. Not quite sure if I'd ask for advice. She's a little bit wide-eyed.
I think that's the nicest thing anyone's ever called me.
I lean over to Maeve and whisper, are we sure that it's not like ecstasy or anything?
Sure, what? I missed it. I'm sorry.
I was like, are we sure it's like the wide-eyed is not because, you know, the E or anything?
Well, I don't know that much about Dawn.
Because I think she's rolling, if you know what I mean.
She's open.
I like open.
And Maeve just kind of smiles and says, well, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
I just want to just freshen up just a little bit. It's been quite the night. Um, don't mind me. I'll be right back. Um, I want to go try and get a look in Juniper's backpack. I saw those syringes. Just
Okay.
want to take a little looky-loo.
Go ahead and I'm assuming you're trying to do this without Juniper noticing.
Oh, absolutely. No, she's absorbed in her game. I was kind of waiting for a time to strike.
Go ahead and make me a stealth plus subterfuge check. And you can add 1 die to your pool since she is distracted.
Okay, well, that's great because my stealth is 1. I'm not the most subtle person in the world. Ooh, that is a bestial success.
Okay. So there's a glint in Sawyer's eye when she sort of turns away from you all. That's just this ever so slight hint of red. And Sawyer, as you crouch down, the beast sort of just takes over the finer parts of the motor skills. You keep an eye on her and you just sort of unconsciously are stepping around the things in the room, not even really looking where you're going, just avoiding them as almost as if as you get close to touching something, you instinctually just pull away from it. And you get to the bag and you unzip it completely silently and open it. And you see a lot of things. You see a Polaroid picture with Juniper Lee in the center. She has like shoulder length brown hair. And the 2 adult figures on either side of her have their faces have been scratched out with a black marker. You see a plastic bag that has 3 empty syringes in it. You see the glint of silver that you saw looks to be like a kitchen butcher knife. And you also see that there is this baggie of um, vials, almost like medicine vials for liquid medicine, but they're all unlabeled, and it's this clear fluid inside all of them. The tarot cards are obviously in there. And at the bottom of it all, you see that there is an iPad with a sticky note over the top of the screen, just like in the center of the screen. There are also 3 lemons.
What a strange child. I think she's going to put it all back and we'll confer with the other adult vampires at some point about what she's found. We just flounce back into the room. I'm back.
Now is everybody ready?
Yeah, I guess. And you all make your way downstairs and pile into the black marked out SUV. What are you going to do first on the itinerary?
I thought it was a specific order based on. I thought the list you gave us was based on a specific order.
You can go straight down the list if you'd like to, but they're not.
Got it.
They're not. You don't have to go in that order.
Well, I'm personally most curious about why we would go to Little Haiti and speak to, what was it, Miss Sharon?
Sharon? Run? Yeah.
But if there was another location that you would all prefer to go to first, that is fine. Do you want me to drive, or did one of you prefer?
Can I drive?
Not you. I'm sorry, dear.
We could teach her.
Tonight's not the night for that, but eventually we will.
I've never owned a car before.
Right.
Girl, you should try. It's fabulous. It's like flying.
Can you
Oh, there's
fly?
I mean, no, but
Sometimes.
Oh, you mean like plane flying? You can fly? Are you lying? Hmm.
I think you
And she
might be
just
too
gets
young for
into
the
this.
type of flying that Dawn does.
I've seen her. It's fantastic.
Well, once we are no longer afraid for your life, I'd be happy to teach you how to drive. Until then, it sounds like I will be the one driving again. I think that you should sit in the back, though, Juniper. I think it's safer. Unfortunately, I'm sure you'd rather sit in the front, but that wouldn't be the best idea in this case.
Yeah, I gotta. Yeah, out of sight, out of mind.
I'm
I
sure
get it.
there's some sort of, and she like gestures to the top, like of the roof of it. I'm sure there's some sort of what a DVD player of some sort.
DVD. I mean, I got YouTube and AirPods. I'm good. I thanks though. I guess. It's just I'm fine.
Maeve, I'll sit next to you in the front. You look absolutely dangerous right now.
I'm always dangerous. And she starts the car.
All right.
Mhm.
And y'all head to Little Haiti to talk to Miss Sharon. The drive is pretty calm. There's nothing in particular that happens. If there's no conversations that anyone would like to have, you arrive without much bother. Um, and as you arrive to this sort of Caribbean styled marketplace almost. There's lots of natural art along the walls that have been done by the residents of Little Haiti. Um, and as you approach, you do see that there are a couple of people who are hanging out outside of various barber shops and corner stores and such like that. And you pick out one or two kind that are like making their way back home. But it seems like this neighborhood is mostly populated by kindred uh, as you approach and step out of the car. There is immediately a young man who goes, "Oh man, welcome to Little Haiti. So many gorgeous people. And someone who's probably staying up past your bedtime, I guess. Do y'all need an escort? Y'all look like you need an escort. You ever been to Little Haiti before?
I haven't.
Never. Are you an artist? Did you paint these walls? They're beautiful.
I didn't paint these walls, but I actually am something of an artist. Thank you for noticing. I know the sheen comes off me in waves. It's pretty amazing. My name is Jean Claude. It's nice to meet you all. And you see
Yeah.
this very wide, toothy smile. This man is about 6'1", completely shaven hair, sort of tanned skin. He appears to be of like Cuban descent. Um, Very bright eyes, definitely kindred. And he's just sort of like leaned on the hood of the SUV.
Off the vehicle,
So,
please.
sorry. It is it's a pretty nice car. My bad. So what brings you all here so late in the evening?
We're to see Miss Sharon.
Oh, okay. You want to see Nana? Well, I can take you to her. I could give you the full tour. I could take you straight there.
Straight there, and she like cocks an eyebrow at the rest of you to ask.
Well, this is a cultural hotbed of art and beauty. Shouldn't we just look around if none of us have been here before? Maybe.
Yeah,
See, I
Do
like
that on the
her.
way out.
Oh, that old bird's not going anywhere. Take some time. We got all night.
can I make some kind of check to see if he's trying to like swindle us in some way? Like, does he even know Miss
Sure.
Sharon?
You can go ahead and make me a charisma plus insight check.
Ooh, that's pretty good. Okay. That is 3 successes.
Okay. This man is very, very sly and very slick. You get the sense that he might be overstating his importance. He's almost acting as though he's like an official tour guide, and you doubt that. But he doesn't seem to be lying about knowing Miss Sharon.
Okay. Well, you heard our associate. We would rather just get to our business now, and then maybe on the way out, you can show us some of the things you don't show the locals.
Well, I could show you so many things here in Little Haiti, but who am I if not a person of the people? Right this way, if you all follow me. Little Nina, you want to be the line leader? And he sort of like cocks a glance over at Juniper, and she like
Absolutely
nods yes,
not.
and then nods no, and stands behind Maeve. And you see that he sort of like starts to dig in his teeth and go, "Oh, geez, you're a woman on a mission, huh?
A very important one.
After my own heart. I appreciate someone who knows their business.
You don't have a heart.
You there. I'll take you there." And he begins to walk and is just giving a full, I will save you all the full tour guide spiel of like, this wall was painted by, he can never remember the names and gets so many things wrong, but he's certainly putting on the spectacle of being a tour guide. And there are a couple of people who are like, greet him as they walk through. You're catching some attention, but most people are just like minding their own business. As you get taken to this house that looks like if you shook it too hard, it would fall. It's like sandwiched in between like two other houses, and it just looks older. And the grass is a little high, and Jean-Claude sort of like scratches his head and goes, "Ah, man," as he walks up to the screen door and just raps against it a couple of times and goes, "Nana, got some people here that want to talk to you." And she says, "Define people." And he says, I don't know. They got some kid with them." And she says, let them in. And cut that grass out there. It's getting too long." And he goes, yeah. And disappears around the alleyway and goes, "Careful with her. She bites." And disappears behind the house.
A woman after my own heart.
I like him so much.
You like everyone.
It was nice.
I wonder what kind of art he does.
And as you all step in, just like every grandmother's home that I've ever walked into, it is far too warm in here. There is plastic over every piece of furniture that's in the living room. And you hear a voice shout from the kitchen, "Take your shoes off," as you step in. And Juniper, being of Asian descent herself, like immediately takes her shoes off. Juniper's Filipino, if I didn't mention that yet. But she immediately takes her shoes off. Very commonplace for her. It smells great in here if you love Cuban food. There's just this like heavily spiced aroma. It smells like there are probably some plantains cooking in whatever is being made back there.
So I love Cuban food, but Maeve has a problem with garlic.
I was about to say, can we eat food? Like that's
Maeve can, but she has a problem with garlic.
If you activate the blush of life, you could eat food, but you wouldn't really enjoy it, and you'd only be able to ingest it for a short period of time before it comes out the same way it came in. Which makes it curious as to why she's cooking. But you do see stepping out of the kitchen this 6'3", broad-shouldered, dark-skinned woman, graying, completely like silver hair, and these very tiny in comparison to how big the rest of her is glasses. And she just walks out, sort of wiping her hands on a towel, and says, "Well, don't just keep the door open. You let all the heat out. Come in."
Maeve unzips her boots and then folds them over her arm and doesn't leave them at the door.
Okay. And she has all of you take a seat at the dining room table and says, "Well, most people just call me Mother Sharon, or Nana if I know you well enough, which I don't. Who are you? Introduce yourselves. You're in someone else's home."
Maeve lets out one of her hands and reaches out. I'm Maeve Stapleton.
She shakes it.
Sawyer, wonderful to meet you. Your home is lovely.
She nods, says thank you. Despite all the kids' efforts, I managed to keep it in shape. And she looks at Dawn.
Dawn is now taking off her shoes because she didn't step inside until Sharon said that it was okay. So she's like walking. "Hi there, I'm Dawn."
"Oh, it's nice to meet you, Dawn. I'm so sorry they didn't tell me about your predilections.
Oh,
Have a seat."
Right.
And you, Miss, you, fabulous one?
you can call me Pearl. And you see now that Pearl's boots are off that they're only about maybe 5'2" at the most.
Okay. Has Pearl at this point done some shows in Miami? Have you been here long enough for that or not yet?
1 or 2.
Okay. She nods and says, "Okay. I think I recognize the name."
Are you a fan?
Well, I've only been to a couple of shows, but my kids love them. So
It's a pleasure to meet you.
All right, sit down. The plates will be out in a second. And she just disappears into the kitchen.
Can you all eat?
Yeah, I love food. I can't go to sleep if it's still in my system though.
Same.
I'll be honest, it's been a while.
I don't know. It has also been a while for me too.
Oh, Pearl, have you never tried?
Well, to be fair, I never really ate much in life either, you know.
Oh.
And after a little while, you see that she reemerges with a stock pot that has been in service for the upper edge of 4 decades. And she sets it down and looks at Juniper and goes, "There are some plates in there on the counter. Go get them. Come on now." And you see she like jumps up and darts off into the kitchen.
Maeve doesn't
And as she
let her
does,
eyes leave the kid.
as she and you can see her through the open area of from the dining room into the kitchen. And as she does, you see that uh, Macharon reaches up and pulls a bead curtain across. And when she does, it's weird. It's almost like the sound in the room changes, like everything outside of the dining room. Despite the dining room being very open, it's almost like everything outside of the dining room is muffled. And she looks at you four and says, and she points appropriately and says, Ventru Toreador Malkavian Gangrel. Right?
Guilty.
Yes.
Since I'm sure that big-eared bastard didn't tell you why you had to come to my house, there's your cliff notes. I'm assuming we don't know what the girl is.
Correct.
She's hiding something.
And you see she comes back in through the beads and sort of like shakes them so she can get past them, and sets a plate down in front of everyone. And Macharon then points her into where the utensils are, and you see a deep sigh welling in the chest of Juniper, but she knows better and just turns and walks back into the kitchen. And she says, all right, well, eat up and we'll deal with all that mess later. And she begins to ladle spoonfuls of this very thick, very dark red soup that has chunks of meat and vegetables, it looks like, onto your plates. And eventually Juniper returns with the utensils, the cutlery and such. And she says, well, sit down, have some food, enjoy. We can talk about business later. I don't think I got your name, little missy. She says, Juniper Lee. And she says, that's a very pretty name, Juniper. You sit down, eat. It'll do you good. And you see that she just begins like drinking and eating the soup. I'm assuming everyone at least tries the soup.
I smell it first.
When you smell it, it smells very spiced and it smells like food, but there's something like almost as an undercurrent. There's a smell that is alluring, which is different than food has been for you since you'd been turned. Any of you, sorry, go ahead, mate.
Is there garlic in it though?
When you smell it, you can't discern any garlic, and garlic usually stands out to you. And you know that that's odd considering the genre of food, but it doesn't smell like it.
Maybe we'll try some then.
So any of you who have tried to eat food since you have been turned, the common phenomenon is any kind food that you ingest, it tastes like ash and charcoal in your mouth. And the only thing that can really satiate your hunger is blood. But this is different. There is that sort of thick, metallic, irony taste, but it also just tastes like a really good pot of stew. You're not exactly sure how or why this is working. And Macharon doesn't explain of her own volition. But if you are above 1 point of hunger, you can return to 1 point of hunger. As a point of note, since I don't think I have mentioned this to those of you who haven't played before, you can never go below 1 point of hunger. As a kindred, as a vampire, you are creatures of hunger, and you're always a little bit hungry for some blood. The only way to go below 1 point of hunger is to drink all of the blood out of a particular victim. Yeah, you all sit there and eat. Macharon doesn't say anything. She's just eating her stew. She's
That's great.
actually pulls out like a newspaper and looks like she's doing her crossword.
Could I get this recipe?
How many decades do you have?
To learn it.
Oh, yes.
That would mean more time in Miami than I'd prefer to stay. But thank you.
Well, it's either that or marry my son.
No, thank you.
That's what most of them say.
Wait, who's your son?
Jean-Claude's one that sticks around the house the most.
Oh.
So are you gonna marry this Jean-Claude?
Oh, I've never been the marrying kind, but this is just beautiful.
And she's sort of like at that comment, there is a very particular like appraisal look of looking you up and down, goes, no, that kid's lucked into everything else in his life. And she just keeps eating the soup.
Would there be a way for me to know if there was animal blood in the soup?
You can. I'll tell you what. Make me a rouse check, and you can activate your auspex and heighten your sense of taste.
A rouse
just
check
the
means
blood.
my blood die.
Yep, just as many die as you have hunger. And since you're only at one, just your one blood die.
Okay. Ooh, that's 3 successes, but it's a bestial success.
Okay. So as you taste this, Christina, or excuse me, Dawn, there is a moment where it feels like everything sort of like stops as you take a second to really soak in the taste of this stew. And someone pulls out a seat next to you and sits down next to you, and it's Dawn. And she says, well, this is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what the secret is. Food Network? Possible. Animal blood? I don't taste any. I don't taste any kind blood either. What do you think?
No blood at all.
Well, certainly blood, but definitely not kind or animal.
What else is there? A god.
Ooh,
That would
could
be
be
interesting.
very delicious to say the least. I feel like a demon would be spicier. I wonder if she could add demon blood to make it spicier.
What about those terrifying wolf creatures?
With the big claws, and it would probably taste, like the skin of a kiwi.
Oh, awful.
Yes, this tastes far too good. Far too good.
Could it be manufactured?
Manufactured. Maybe it's magical. Maybe that's why it would take so long to learn the recipe. Sustenance magic. Interesting.
I wonder how old she is.
And everyone else at the table, you all hear Dawn just full on, like muttering a full on conversation with herself under her breath.
Knowing that it's not animal blood will be fine for Dawn, though. Okay. So she'll keep pondering, but.
Fantastic. So after you all have spent most of your time eating and most plates are empty, she refills it without asking any of you if you wanted seconds. And then sort of just sits back down and says, well, so do you know why you're here, little girl? And Juniper sort of like grabs a paper towel and like cleans her face and is, no. She goes, Somebody explained the clans to you? Juniper nods. Good. We're going to find out what clan you're from. Okay? And she reaches into this small, like, it looks like it's a hand carved wooden chest. And she takes out this, it kind of almost looks like a stapler with like a long, um, very thin wire and a poker at the top. And she grabs her hand and says, "It's going to hurt, but it's only going to hurt just a little bit, okay?" And Juniper, like, sort of nods and, like, takes a deep breath. She reaches it over the palm of her hand and clicks it down, and the wire just like clicks, and you can see a small droplet of blood sort of forming up and welling. And Miss Sharon sort of scoops the blood up with her pinky finger and draws it down the line, and she begins to play this very gentle sort of plucking tone. It shouldn't, there aren't really enough strings, and it's not constructed in a way where it should be able to produce music. But there are these low notes that sort of stream out of it. And you see Miss Sharon just close her eyes and continue to play for a little while. And you all watch Juniper's eyes, the lids sort of lower, and the eyes go completely red as she just like the shoulders like lax, and she's not completely unconscious, it looks like, but she's in some sort of fugue state. And the song is very, it's almost haunting. And eventually it comes to an end, and she opens her eyes and goes, "All right. Well, now that that's done, girl, go ahead and take your dish in there and take mine too. Go on now." And you see she like looks around and goes, but what clan am I in?" She goes, "I asked you to take your dishes into the kitchen. Please do that first." And she takes the dishes and steps through the beads back into the kitchen. And you see a look of worry come onto the face of Masharon.
Well then,
What is she?
Powerful is what she is. Potent blood. Something old took something that young. It's not right. To give you an exact answer, she's Lasombran. Which is going to come with a whole host of problems, and if she's sired by a very old Lasombran, I think I have an idea of who she is, which means that you all are in for a very long week, to say the least. I'll let Lyman know, and hopefully he'll be able to, I don't know, get something ready, prepare somehow. She seems like such a sweet girl too.
What does she have? What does he have to prepare?
Well, now that we know that she's Lasombran, she'll be able to. We'll try and gather together some Lasombran contacts to try and teach her properly. You know, all that kind of stuff. Shall keep a close eye on her. The Black Angels don't let their children go lightly.
is that phrase familiar to us?
You all, anyone who would like to, can make me a. Oh, what flavor do I want this to be? Let's call it intelligence and etiquette. This is your knowledge of the inner courts of vampiric doings.
I have two successes and one success on my blood die, so 4 total successes.
Okay.
I only have one success and a bestial failure.
Okay, so you gain a point of hunger.
Got nothing.
Yep.
I have one success.
Okay. So Maeve, you are the only person who's heard of the term Black Angels before. The Black Angels are is a term that's used to refer to the majority group of the Lasombran clan. The Lasombrans do not belong to the Camarilla, nor do they primarily belong to the Sabbat. They are a clan that is unaffiliated with the two largest civilizations, and as such, they're primarily nomadic. They are scattered throughout the various landscapes where kindred call their homes. Lasombrans and Ventru tend to despise each other, to put it lightly. Ventru and Lasombrans do not clash well, because where the Ventrus see themselves as the kings of kindred, and that they should control things, and they are obviously the best leaders, Lasombrans are very fierce idealists, or not idealists, individualists. They don't believe that anyone should have kings. They don't believe that that should be a thing. And if you can't survive on the merit of your own skill and talents, then you shouldn't be surviving. And they tend to be, stereotypically, they are considered to be very self-righteous. They're very worried about themselves.
And you think that you know who is responsible for the child?
Well, I can only think of one Lasombran kindred I've ever met that's got blood potent enough to sire a child with her resonance.
Would you like to give us that name?
I mean, I could, but I don't think you all would have heard of him. His name is Darkul.
Have I heard of this person?
If anyone has 4 points in etiquette, you can make a roll for me.
No.
The name sort of is lost on you all. And Juniper sort of walks back in and says, Miss Sharon, that was really good, and I haven't eaten any food in a while. Can I take some leftovers? She goes, of course, and sort of reaches up into the upper cabinets and grabs a very large, like, country crock empty thing of butter that she
if you
begins
don't
to
talk about
ladle
country
soup
crock
into.
right now, or Cool Whip, that was my grandma's. Cool Whip was the other one.
The shortbread cookie.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And with that, you hear the front door open and Jean-Claude say, Leda, The yard is mowed. It smells good in here. And he sort of comes in and immediately like just picks up the ladle and starts shrinking it straight from the pot. And she picks up this like it's one of those like fans that extended like one of those church fans and just starts like whacking the ever loving shit out of him with it. And he eventually like puts it down and scurries out of the room, but not before he finishes the spoonful that he scooped up. And he just says, well, it's a little late to give you a tour now, but maybe you all can come back.
I think perhaps Sawyer might. She seemed very interested in what you had to offer.
Yes, I really would be very interested in your art specifically.
Wonderful. Hold on. Let me give you my number so I can give you the tour when you 1 second. And he like grabs your phone and starts to type his number in there. He types it as Jean with like 2 of the like kissing winking face emojis. And he goes, just tell me when you want to stop by.
Do you ever astral project?
No, but I mean, my guy Tommy could probably get you some ecstasy, like close somewhere around there.
This friend Tommy, he's a friend of yours?
Oh yeah, it's my boy.
Good to know.
Perhaps we'll have to meet this Tommy.
Sure. I can bring Tommy around. I mean, he's, him and his girlfriend usually are pretty busy, but I can see if they're available.
Well, I'll be in your dreams.
Yes, you will. And you hear thwack, thwack, thwack as he's hit with the fan again. Ow, ow, okay, jeez. And Jean starts walking you back to where the SUV is parked. But before you go, you see that Miss Sharon sort of like kneels down and every joint in her body pops. And she's sort of whispers something to Juniper. And Juniper sort of like stands still for a second and then just hugs Miss Sharon, and she like pats her on the back a couple of times, ruffles her hair and pushes her out and closes the door behind you all.
Oh, before she ushers us out, Maeve would have thanked her for the meal.
Yes, of course. If you ever come by again, I make all kinds of things. If the itch ever gets to you.
Thank you. And she'll zip her boots back up and head out.
All right. You all return to the SUV. And as you approach, you hear Jean-Claude start to curse and say, hold on. And he like turns around and is like blocking y'all's view and says, maybe have the little one turn her head around, huh? I don't know who the fuck did this. And he's like looking around and he goes, hey yo, who did this, man? And he's like shouting to some people who are across the street. And as you all take a second to like peek around him, see that the SUV has been spray painted with red spray paint, and it says "Little Shadow Bitch" all across the side of the SUV. And you see Jean-Claude just goes, just wait here for a second, all right? He like runs over to the 2 people sort of posted up on the wall.
Still think they're beautiful, Sawyer?
I don't understand this kind of art. It doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't seem in the good spirit at all.
Dawn and Pearl, make me an occult plus composure roll.
Okay,
Three successes.
That is one success, one bestial fail, but then my blood dice is a bestial win. Success.
Okay. So you can only get a bestial fail on the blood die. So if your blood die was a 10, then you're good.
Oh. Okay, yeah, it was a bestial success then. But one failure and then one success.
Dawn, you got how many?
3 successes.
Okay. So you both see the letters on the SUV start to quiver and move. And you notice it first, and you see like this faint trickle of magic coming off the SUV. This is just as Jean-Claude leaves. And then you all notice the letters continue to shift after Jean-Claude has left. And they change to a new message. And it says, "Time to come home, Junie Lee."
Junebug.
Hmm?
Was the Prince of Miami the first person to invite you to go somewhere?
No.
Who else wanted you to visit them?
Some guy, he didn't tell me his name, but he wanted me to go to London. That was too far.
Mm-hmm. Did you like him?
I don't know. He seemed like he was like trying to get me to like him, which didn't really help me like him.
Right, you can see through all that bullshit, I know.
He was weird though. He was different.
How so?
I don't know. It was really dark where he was, and I couldn't I kept losing track of him. I couldn't see him all the time. I thought it was just because it was dark, but pretty sure he kept disappearing.
Into the shadows, one might say.
I guess.
I don't like us out here in the open like this. I think we should go.
And as Jean-Claude reapproaches with a hose in hand, sort of unfurling it, the message on the side of the SUV is gone. And he goes, "Oh, shit. Y'all are quick, I guess. Sorry, my homie said they didn't see anything or who did it, so."
It was a magical effect. You've been very hospitable.
Well, yeah, I guess kind of blew it at the end there, but y'all be safe.
Thank
You
you.
as well.
And he starts looping the hose up again. And you all pile in the SUV. And as you start making your way back to the safe house, you can feel the ache in your veins and bones of the sun that is soon to be rising. Little Juniper Lee curls up and actually falls asleep this time. Face sort of pressed against the glass, and the camera zooms out over the skyline of Miami to a particular building, probably 10 or 12 streets away. And we see a man in a very nice, like sort of crushed velvet suit that is sitting in a chair, sipping a cup of coffee, the cross dangling from his neck. He looks through the scope of his sniper rifle at Maeve as she drives the SUV. It says, welcome to fucking Miami, kid. And that is where we're going to end tonight's session of Lost in Miami. Thank you all so much for joining us. We're going to do another round of outros as we go around, and we're going to start in reverse order with the lovely Nikki.
Okay, so I'm Nikki. I am co-creator here at TTRPG. I am going to be playing I Love You, Colonel Sanders this Friday at, I don't know, 6 p.m. East PST. I haven't decided. I'll post about it. And you can watch me here on Tuesdays, and on Saturdays you can see me as our little June show on Avatar Reclamations.
Hell yeah, the Avatar Reclamations game is the bomb. Everybody should check it out. And we will scoot on down to the lovely Amanda.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amanda. You can find me here on TTRPG playing The Fabulous Pearl, as well as my own Twitch streaming channel. I'm starting to play Elder Scrolls Online all the way through from the very beginning. So feel free to check me out on that, as well as follow me on Twitter for everything that I may be doing. Your friendly neighborhood little goblin. I love movies and everything about tabletop RPGs.
Fantastic. And we can next shimmy on over across the way to the lovely Christiana.
Hi, I'm Christiana. I use she, her pronouns. I just totally blanked on what everyone else said about themselves. Oh, yes, I'm also in the Avatar Reclamations game on Saturdays. It is so much fun. It's so much fun that we added more sessions to it because we just love what's going on. It is great. I will soon be releasing some information about a D&D podcast that I'm going to be in, like a horror, camp sort of thing that's happening. Super excited. Other than that, you can follow me on the socials at Carpe Christie, where I post about D&D and sometimes politics, sometimes cat memes. It's really a plethora of things. I think Christina is next.
Indeed.
Hi, everybody. I'm Christina Sisto Kendall. I use any pronouns, and you can find me over on Twitter at D20Xtina and everywhere else as Xtina Smash. I'm here on Twitch, over on Itch. You can find my games there. If you want to be a vampire who goes on speed dates, go check out Networking and Love Bites. I released it last year for Valentine's Day, and it's coming around again. So get your speed date on. And I don't have any other streams coming up except this one here. You can catch me as Sawyer. So if you have an opening, let me know.
Fantastic. And last but not least, hi. My name is Dee. I am the kid that puts all this horse shit together. I am a voice actor, streamer, musician, professional GM all across the interwebs. You can catch me on Mondays over on Critical Misses for the Roll20 Spotlight show Kingsguard, where I play a Day Zuko, an undead Earth Genasi that is the farrier of souls all of a sudden. I've bitten many of my compatriots. Tuesdays, you can catch me here for more of this nonsense, and you can also check out a podcast that is run in the world of Maneus, which is also the world where this game takes place, called Through Hollow Flames. It's a D&D 5e. It's cast a couple thousand years before this story, but if anyone's been watching, Sphinx pick up on certain things that appear in many of my games. All of my games here on the internet are interconnected. So watch all my stuff and you might catch some little special extra Easter eggs. Outside of that, on Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays, you can catch me on my Twitch channel where I stream all sorts of nonsense and get into trouble. And I am tortured by my friends because I have 800,000 Scoville hot sauce that they make me eat for donations. So that's fun. Lastly but not leastly, I am the reigning and retaining TTRPG Universal Champion. And I've noticed there are a lot of people that want this shiny belt, and none of them are important enough to take up a primetime mention spot. So, keep trying. I guess if you shoot at the moon, you land amongst the stars, right? So keep trying, everybody out there. But that is it for me, and I believe that is it for us. Thank you all so much for coming in and spending this evening with us. Thank you all for the subs and the follows and all of that fun stuff. And we will see you the next time the sun goes down and the moon rises. Bye, everybody.